We're dealing with someone who has an object which falls over in public space. So, for example, he's got a tree or he's got a wall and it falls over into the public domain. And there's a question as to whether he's liable or not. Maybe this whole question, by the way, belongs more in Bava Kama, in the laws of damages, than it does in Bava Metzia, which is about interpersonal contracts. But we can see that the Mishnah is circling or is hovering between these two areas. And in the fifth Mishnah, we're in the 10th chapter now. So in the fifth Mishnah, we carry on with this idea of the tree or the wall that falls down. But this time it's not falling down in public space, it's actually falling down in its neighbor's garden. So it's the same idea, but we are back into interpersonal contracts. And the Mishnah says, Misha hayakot lo samuch leginat chavero. Someone's wall was next to his fellow's garden. Same language, by the way, that we've seen many times before. Ginat chavero, it's his chaver. There's a social relationship here. We're not in a purely anonymous litigatory type environment. It's a chaver. It's someone who's part of society. There's a relationship there. So his wall is next to his neighbor's garden. Vinafal, and it falls down. What happens? Amarlo. So this guy whose wall has fallen over, says to his neighbor, the neighbor whose garden is now clogged with stones, says to the guy whose wall has fallen over, Pane et avanecha, clear away your stones. It's your wall, they're your stones, you clear them away. Amarlo, he says to him, Higi ucha, he said, they've got to you. They've reached you. In other words, they're your stones now. I'm not taking any responsibility for my wall, which has fallen over in your property, because it's in your property now. You own the stones. And the Mishnah says clearly, Ein shomen lo. We don't listen to him. We don't listen to him. This Mishnah is going to now have a succession of cases which all end up with the statement Ein shomen lo. We don't listen to him. There's a sort of, I think my kids would say passive aggressive. So there's something slightly passive aggressive about saying, well, oh yeah, these stones are in your garden now, so they're not my responsibility anymore. But the Mishnah will not take it. Ein shomen lo. We don't listen to it. We don't listen to him. Now, if the guy with the garden agreed to take ownership of the stones, and we've said already that building materials are expensive in the time of the Mishnah, so these are valuable stones. Misha kibel, so the owner of the garden agreed. He agreed to clear away the stones, but on the basis that he owns the stones. And this guy next door, this bad neighbor, comes back and says, Amar, Heilach et yitziotecha v'ani nosel et sheli. Here is your expenditure, and I'll take back what is mine. So he changes his mind. He wants to pay his neighbor to take away the stones, and he wants to take back his property. And exactly in the same way, the Mishnah rules Ein shomen lo. And by the way, the Gemara explains that we're talking here about a situation where the stones have already been cleared away. The owner of the garden essentially takes title over the stones by clearing them away, not by this verbal contract. But once the stones have been cleared away, the original owner of the wall can't do anything about it. And the Mishnah then branches into a parallel situation, parallel linguistically and parallel semantically in terms of employment. So someone hires a laborer to clear away, chop straw or stubble. Amar lo ten li schari, and he said to him, give me my wages. A reasonable thing to do. We know wages have to be paid within 12 hours of the end of the work. Amar lo, the employer said to him, Amar lo tol mimash asita bischarecha. He said, take as your wages from what you have worked with, i.e., just you can take away some straw and some stubble, and that's your wages. And exactly the same way, Ein Shomin law. We don't listen to him. We don't listen to people who refuse to fulfill their obligations, just as the person whose property spills into his neighbor's garden has to clear it away. The person that recruits a laborer has to pay him. And we'll make the same caveat. Misha kibel, if the laborer agreed, say the laborer agreed to take his wages in straw and stubble. Misha kibel, amar lo helech etzharach v'ani notel sheli. If he said, here are your wages and I'll take back what is mine, I'll take back my straw, just like the owner of the wall who said, oh, I'll take back my stones, I've changed my mind. Ein shomin law. We don't listen to him. Once he's made the contract, he's committed. And then continuing, this is one Mishnah in our editions. It's actually two Mishnayot in the Kaufman edition. And there's a break of Mishnah in the Kaufman edition. So according to Kaufman, we can feel we're changing subject here. And we're still on the question of rubbish being put out into the public domain. But now this is real rubbish. Hamotzeh zivlo, someone who dumps his manure. Lirushut harabim. So now we're back to someone, for example, whose wall spills over into the public domain. And we have a principle, by the way, which we've learned from Bava, that someone who dumps, let's look at the Mishnah in Bava, it's in the 3rd chapter. Someone who puts his straw and his stubble and his olive skins into the public domain for fertilizer, and someone is damaged by them, is liable. He's liable for damages. And anybody who wants to come and take them can take them. In other words, if you dump your trash in the public domain, you're responsible for it, and anybody who wants to take possession of it can come and take possession. And Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel in the Mishnah in Bava Kama just reiterates this halacha. So now let's come back to Bava Metzia. So someone has dumped his manure in the public domain. Hamotzi zivlo lirshut harabim. Hamotzi motzi v'hamazavel muzavel. It's poetic. Hamotzi motzi v'hamazavel muzavel. V'hamazabel muzavel. The person who dumps, and the person who fertilizes, i.e., this should happen instantly. If you've got an arrangement with someone else to fertilize their field, fine, you can dump your manure for a short period in the public domain, but you dump and he takes away. You can't tie up public space with your pile of rubbish. Or I suppose if you do, someone else can legitimately just take it away completely. Along the same lines, Ein shorintit birshut harabim. We don't sow clay in public space. Velo lovnim levenim. We don't make bricks in public space. Govlintit birshut harabim. We can knead clay in public space. This is much more limited. Aval levenim, but not bricks. So there seems to be some limited amount of work we can do in public space. And Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel, again, is going to define it. But with regard to a builder, someone who's building in the public domain. It's the same poetry. The person who brings, and the builder builds, i.e., this should happen at the same time. You bring stones and the builder builds. You can't have your stones hanging around in the public domain, waiting, as happens very much in London, by the way, waiting for the builder to pick them up. And by the way, if he causes damage, he's liable to pay for what he's damaged. Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel Omer, Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel says, Af masakenhu et malachto lifnei shloshim yom. Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel says, he's actually got 30 days. He can start preparing for his building work 30 days before the actual construction starts. So maybe Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel is a rich person, but he's going to cut a certain amount of slack for the builder who's building in public space.